have with us Ms. Vibha Padalkar, who is the MD and CEO of HDFC Life Insurance. Vibha, welcome to the session.
Thank you so much, Kumar.
Vibha, we're obviously going through, a really difficult time, and which keeps changing. The difficulty levels keep changing. The kind of uncertainty keeps changing. How have you and the organization been able to manage the time of crisis in the last 6-7 months? And what are some of the absolutely key takeaways from that?
Few things, Kumar. The first one I think is just honesty. Honesty in terms of sharing with our key stakeholders that while we'll be more agile and faster to react, do we have all the answers? We don't. And this is with our employees, this is with our partners, this is with our shareholders, our promoters, board. And starting off with the last couple, wherein in terms of our board, we just told the board we don't want to, and we cannot give an annual business plan. And this was typically towards the end of March for the year ahead. And they absolutely agreed, because we could have given an Excel spreadsheet. But what we said is that we will ensure that our market share is faster, we deliver better than the industry. But what that better will be will depend on how bad the pandemic is. And that's exactly what we've been doing now for the past couple of quarters. And even today, we haven't given a full-fledged annual business plan. As far as our employees are concerned, even before the lockdown started happening, so this was around early to mid-March, we were getting a sense that this is something not in the normal course of things, and this is going to be big. Although India was a late starter to beginning to show some of the markers of a pandemic. But we told expectant mothers to sit at home and work out of home. Those who had comorbidities, we asked them to work from home. We started shutting down our branches before the actual lockdown happened. So finally, there was just the senior leadership team in the office, more from a positioning perspective, but most of the people were at home. We gave advance salaries for the month of March, just expecting that people will have to stock up their larder, for which and we have close to 20,000 people. A bulk of them are frontline salespeople. So we did that despite the usual fears of, will people abscond, will we recover our money? And we just said, no, let's keep that aside, because that is the need of the hour. And we just went ahead. It caused a lot of goodwill. We also set up a very nimble disaster management team, cross-functional. And I certainly was not there as part of the team, as a conscious decision, because I did not want to slow down the process. I didn't want to micromanage. And in fact, they were CEO -2 kind of level. And they did exceptionally well. And they were empowered to take decisions. Every night, they just sent me a text as to what decisions had been taken. And while I would guide, counsel them, but what was very important is agility. And so that worked very well. They were a single point of contact. And they were like this crack team that just went around doing what they had to do. It could be someone's illness, it could be decisions on branches, it could be somebody's parents who are worried, it could be vendors who are worried about, small vendors, about whether they're going to get paid. It could be cyber security, it could be the infrastructure in terms of laptops, it could be connectivity for internet, without which none of this work from home is going to be possible, and so on. So that again worked very well. So empowerment down the line worked very well. And the other point is communicate, and even more communicate. Because we did realize that there's going to be this massive vacuum between people and leadership. And with an overarching environment of deep anxiety. So that's exactly what we did. We went on social media, we went on our intranet to our employees, and it's not just the CEO, but it was my entire leadership team, because I can only be in so many places at a time. And I really utilized my leadership team to pass on very, very consistent messages. That also helped. Town halls was another thing. So we were everywhere, and we were just a WhatsApp away. Even in terms of COVID, today we have over 600 employees who have been down with COVID and various stages of recovery. But every executive team member was allocated to a COVID patient and his family, so that they don't feel that they're isolated, that they really don't know who to turn to, and so on. And that again has gone down extremely well. So these are the kind of measures in terms of the people front. On partners, we said that if the partner branch is open, we will be open. So again, it was not to say that, we will be safe, but you guys do what you have to do. And it could be bank branches, for example. Then our people were there at the bank branches, as long as they were willing to have our people. And so on. So payment of advances to some of the partners, especially the small ones. Policy holders, that was another big piece, so that we don't have a run on the bank kind of situation with an insurance company. We had to assure people that don't pull your money out, don't, continue to pay your premiums. Paradoxically, this is a time when you really need your insurance. Yeah. So this should not be the low-hanging fruit that you decide to dump. Yeah. So reaching out to customers, and also people stepped up to the occasion because our call centers were down. Our call centers in Vizag and other places were down. So people calling were panicking. So our branch people stepped in to take calls. And, the way we positioned this was also not to say that, now you're a call center executive, but to say that this is the need of the hour for the organization, for the customer, because the customer is going to panic if he or she does not get an answer. Yeah. When you position it like that, it's a very different reason. People do rise to the occasion, and that's exactly what happened. And people go that extra mile. So, when we look back, it's almost with disbelief when I see some messages about us really groping in the dark in April, May. Today seems, that we're closer towards the end of the tunnel than what we were, in April and May. Relatively speaking, touch wood, we ended up reasonably well. And again, thankfully, our numbers showed up very well. It could have been a lot worse that we did all of this, and because of several macro reasons, our numbers did not pan out. So that's even more of a downward spiral. So we had a shot in the arm. Quarter two was significantly better than quarter one, and quarter one was better than peers. So that also helped, frankly, because there was an adrenaline being pumped, and how do we shift our entire organization to a digital mindset. Sure. And I think the DNA of HDFC Life is that we do see an opportunity in every adversity. It's not just good sounding words, but we really do, because things that we can't change as a DNA, we don't fret about too much. So we just move on to whatever is there. It's like the glass half full concept. So that also helped quite a bit. So I think a whole host of things, we came together as a collective team to do our bit that we had to.
And Vibha, how has it been for you as an individual? Because clearly, it's impacted everyone in several ways, across levels. And as a leader, as a parent, as somebody who's probably been used to spending a lot of hours at work or, traveling, and now you've been, all of us have been homebound for a much longer time, and with the kind of uncertainties around possibly every aspect of our lives. How has it been for you as a person, and how have you been able to sort of trickle that down with everyone around you as well?
So I think having an open, honest communication with your family becomes extremely important. The me space that earlier physically offices used to allow us to have that me space. So when you left home, you were in a different zone. Those lines suddenly got blurred. So we realized between my family members that we had to have non-negotiable times when there won't be discussions of spillover as to aaj sabzi kya banani hai. Those kind of conversations between this time to this time. I have senior citizen, obviously they would be senior citizen, but aged parents who are 80 plus. And even with them, I could rationalize to say they didn't like it very much at the beginning, but they got used to it, to say this is the time when I'm having breakfast with you that you will discuss this. When I'm having lunch with you, that you'll discuss this. And if you want something more detailed, I can only do it on weekends. The fact that I'm around does not mean that I'm on holiday,
Sure.
that I'm available. I'm not, and I'm still thinking mentally. So don't accost me on something that is relatively not important. So, laying those kind of boundaries, simplifying one's stuff at home, because otherwise just because one is physically at home, you might just be, you might fret about something that otherwise physically you'd have just not been around. So yeah, I think early on for the family also to be almost like a business conversation around the table, to say I'm getting stressed out about this and I need these boundaries of time, and I am going to be working late although physically I'm at home, and so on, becomes important, and without taking umbrage for it. And also in the initial stages, I don't know about you, but most of us didn't have home help, so you were doing all the activities that you would have never done in your life ever. So I discovered that I could cook, which is very very late in my life, but one had to do it. So
It took a
there are
pandemic
also
to
these
help you
positive
make that
surprises.
realization. It took a pandemic to help you do that.
It took a pandemic, absolutely. And the fact that today my family misses it because my cook is back, so that is like a very different level of satisfaction. um, so yeah, I think again one looks back to April and May, and it is with wonderment that, and isn't it the resilience of human spirit?
Sure.
Usually all of us were used to probably drop into bed bone tired, because you've just been doing so many things, even physically, that we were just not used to. Even getting groceries was a big thing. So, and yet we survived. And somehow I feel that as a race, we've come out stronger. And you had mentioned earlier that this is an immense leveler. And I think, I'm not a religious person, but spiritually, I feel that who talks about brands? Who talks about designer label? For 3-4 months, all we talked about is where do I get my milk from? How do I get these fresh vegetables from? So very basic things became, as it should be, a lot more important than a lot of stuff that is really not important.
Yeah. I think
Who was traveling by first class and who was traveling by, none of that mattered.
Sure.
And we were all, for the first time, as large communities, just wanting to help each other out. Someone's kid is stranded somewhere, or someone is figuring out where to get a bed, or forget about a bed, but even where to go and get a test.
True.
These things, as a community, we started coming together, especially in large metros, wherein it's largely a faceless way of living.
Sure.
Especially to people who are very busy at work, and suddenly you discovered you had neighbors, and you helped out, and you looked out for each other, and you asked each other if you got a cachet of dishwasher powder or something. You said, okay, have you guys run out of it, or something like that. So a lot of new feelings, and most of them positive. The pandemic, like I said, not a lot we can do about it, but I think a lot of things that we discovered about ourselves as a community.
So true. I think those are some really valid points, that there has been a lot of reprioritization of our own needs and wants and what's really important at a very basic and fundamental level. We've almost come towards the end. I have one last question. Given what has transpired at a business level, what is your sort of one big strategic ask from the Office of the Chief Learning Officer? And, in just a minute, because we are about to run out of time.
Yeah, very quickly, we have to move from one size fits all to personalized learning. That is one. Digital has to be center and not gratuitous. And finally, they have to learn, unlearn, and then relearn, in terms of continuous learning and evolving. That agility and adaptability has to be core.
Right. That's so true, because, and unlearning and relearning are two of the mantras that the CLO Summit has been professing since 2009. That if businesses in India, and given the kind of challenges we face within our regular working environment, as as still a country which has so much more to grow and so many more obstacles to overcome, clearly that has to be the mantra. And I'm so glad you've articulated that way, because uh, although many of us would think that insurance is a sector which hasn't obviously borne the brunt the way several other sectors have within the pandemic, but it's good to see that you're seeing the sort of the growth fillip that digitalization in learning and the mindset for unlearning and not sort of resting on existing skill sets can provide an organization. Thank you so much, Vibha. Those are some fantastic and very candid thoughts from you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Kumar, and wish you and your organization the very best.
Thank you. Thank you.